No, don't check for updates. Oh, great. There's lots of things called pirates. I need to open something that's got stuff in it. Okay, I'm going to open my little shop drawing. Where's my measure for measure? Oh, there it is. Where's my measure for measure drawing? Obviously, you should be opening your drawing for your Pirates of Penzance. But this is just going to give us something to work with. And my screen is really crowded. And what we're doing today is doing digital rendering. So you guys had an assignment today of doing a hand rendering or a storyboard of a scene. And hopefully you have that either with you to hand in before you leave today or to upload. But you also have, for your final project, actually I think it's also due, it's your Vectorworks 6 assignment, is a digital rendering of a moment in the show. Okay, I am going to go to my drawing of my show with my set. Oh, where are my lights? No lights. Let's get the lights turned on. And I'm going to turn a couple things off here. I'm going to turn the building walls off while I do this. Because in my show that's going to make a difference. On Pirates it won't, so you don't need to do that. And I need to quickly draw a person. We did drawing people before. I'm going to draw a person very, very quickly. Draw a 6 foot tall person, and they have a head. I have a feeling I just drew a giant baby with his head that's too big, but that's okay. And they have a torso. He's a chubby person. And I'm going to put him in a dress, so that probably makes it a her person, although I don't need to be judgmental about that. Okay. Yep, that is a funny looking person, but that's okay. And I'm going to extrude him 9 inches. Okay, or her 9 inches. And great. And I'm going to stand them up. And you guys did a person previously. We talked about that. So you probably have a person pre-built. Hopefully my person is right side up. Yes. And I'm going to take my person and I'm going to put my person on stage. And I need to make sure my set is turned on. And we're going to find a great view. Do I have a view set up for the show? I do. Yay. I'm taking a moment to draw. And this is one of those projects that is going to take a little bit of time. Your computer's got a lot of stuff to render, and that's fine. So before we do that, yeah, top view. Actually, turn the labels off. I'm going to leave my pipes turned off for the moment. It doesn't really matter. But what we want to do is we want to start looking at lights. And where's the person I drew? Darn it. Okay, fine. I am going to show you guys how to turn lights on in Vectorworks. So select a light. And obviously your light needs to have a focus point because it's got to be pointing at something or this isn't going to work. And I'm going to right click the light and I'm going to scroll down and I can either go to edit light or turn light on. We're going to go to edit light at the moment. And there are a couple things you can set in here. Your kind of light, don't change that. That's preset by Vectorworks. Do you want it to cast shadows? Yes or no? The color should be preloaded in here based on the color you have selected. If this is showing just white, it means that Vectorworks does not understand the color you've selected. And in that case, if you click on it, it brings up a color wheel and you can select a close match. Okay, but it generally, especially if you're using Roscoe, which I think all of you are, they should just preload. Okay. Oh, I forgot to turn the light on. Scroll down to turn light on. Okay. And I'm going to just very quickly come up. I'm just going to do a quick come up here. Oh, let me turn the set on, turn the chamber. And I'm going to say view, render, and I'm going to say fast render works. And it's going to take it a moment. It's got a lot of stuff to draw. And I'm going to zoom in here. And you can see, maybe, it's really dark, that the you can see the beam of light hitting the chamber or the set piece. Okay, if I move around my view so we can see the floor a little bit more. We can see a little bit more of what it's hitting. It's hitting a bit of the staircase here. You can see a bit of the floor lit up. And, edit light. Edit light. And that just allows you to check that the color is correct. There are some settings you can play with. So view, rendering, I guess fast render works is just what it is. Okay. Do OpenGL and see what that looks like. Yes, the light does show up in OpenGL. Not well. Okay. And that's one light. Okay. Do we ever actually have just one light on the show? Probably not. So I'm going to shift click all my side light from one side. And I'm going to turn all of them on. And go back to some kind of view and take a look at how that looks. View rendering. Fast render works. Okay. And now we can really see. Now, what are all those floating dots in the middle of the stage? Anyone know what those are? Those are my focus points. So if you don't want to see those, turn them off. Figure where mine are in this show. Okay, that's really lousy rendering. We render. View rendering. And what this is allowing us to do is to really get a sense of what it is looking like. Okay, a final quality render works is a little bit better. It's actually not as slow as I thought it would be. Okay, this casts shadows, so you guys can see that the tops of the steps are lit, the faces are a little bit in shadow. you can, in case you're like going, oh no, this needs shutters, if you, in your object info, just go to edit, you can adjust the shutters if you need to. Yeah, that's about what you're going to do in most of these. And side light, okay, that's all good. I select just one. Can I select how bright it is? Turn on edit light. And your brightness, so if you want a light that's on at 100%, you can have another light that's on at 50 or whatever. And as we move around, we can see that that light is... The heck is that light lighting? That's what I get for randomly selecting a light. Oh, that's a house light. Let's not select the house light. We'll turn you on because you actually like the stage. And every time you turn a light on or off, it's got to re-render. And it takes some time, and the time is indicated in the lower right-hand corner. The more lights you have on, the longer it's going to take. And the set for Pirates is far more complicated from a rendering perspective than the set for Measure for Measure. Especially because the staircase in Measure for Measure, only one of the 6 stair positions has color in it. The rest of them are just gray. Okay, but we can see how it shows us what's lit. When you get a person or people on stage, and obviously you should put a person or people on your set, it will show their shadows, and your person does not have to be any more interesting than the one I drew at the beginning of class. We should also, once you have something, you have a lighting look that you like, adjust your position so you're like, yeah, that looks good. And also put your projection into perspective. And move around. We've got all of our move around tools under visualization. So you can walk through and kind of move yourself a little bit. And you can build a look. Okay. Some of your gobos will be built in and you can use them. If your gobo is not built in, that's fine. But you need to do one digital rendering for next week and check your, actually we'll do that at the end of class. We'll look at what's due a week from today for Pirates and see how many you need to do for your final project. Okay? And why do you guys think you would do a digital rendering? Who are they mostly for? They're for a director. They're to say to the director, hey, this is what I'm envisioning in the moment, okay? And it allows the director to look at it and go, oh, okay, I like that. The other time, it might actually be for you. And I did a number of these on Measure for Measure because I was trying to do some shots that were trying to sneak around all those I-beams. That is not as big of a deal for Pirates for most of you, but it might be. You might be trying to shoot through a window or something. And what these renderings do is it gives you a pretty good idea if that is going to work for you, because in this case, things cast a shadow. As you can see down here, this wall is casting a shadow on the steps up here. We'll zoom in a little bit so you guys can really see that. Okay. Give it a second to draw. Okay, so we can see that this is casting a shadow. That is a really nice feature if you are trying to, in Pirates, shoot through those windows, if you're trying to shoot around some set piece. And by putting people-sized blocks all over the stage, you can actually see what's getting hit and what's not. Excuse me. Okay. I recommend, because obviously this stuff takes time to render, that you are intelligent about choosing which moments. Maybe choose a moment that only has 9 or 10 lights in it, not something that has all of your lights on, because that just takes a lot longer for it to render and calculate. The other thing, normally we don't put focus points in for moving lights because that's the point. They move, right? For your rendering, however, to get it to render, you're going to have to put in a focus point or else it won't know where to put the light. Does that make sense? No. The answer is probably, but it's much faster to put in a focus point. You can have a focus point that you call temporary that you're going to delete when after you get your rendering out. I'm thinking like the site or something. Yeah. And you can put focus points on the site. You can put focus points wherever you want. There's no rule about that. You put them wherever they need to be to get the look you want. Couple of things about Vectorworks that I should tell you. Oh, I don't have Fresnels in this plot. Vectorworks does not understand the difference between a Fresnel and a par and ellipsoidal. There are only shutters and ellipsoidals. Guess what? Vectorworks will have a shutter command for a Fresnel. It's expected that you're going to do that with barn doors. Okay. Same thing with a par. Okay. Vectorworks is stupid. It will let you put a gobo in a Fresnel. Okay. Don't. Okay, because if when I'm looking at your final plot, you can't put a gobo in a Fresnel. Oh, Vectorworks let me. Yeah, guess what? The real world doesn't. Okay, Vectorworks is just a computer software. Okay. Another thing about your rendering. So you're going to figure out your rendering. You're going to get it to look good. And you can't, your rendering has to be out of Vectorworks. I'm not going to grade your rendering in your Vectorworks file. That's going to have to be exported as a PDF. Do we know how to do that, or do we need to review? Everyone good on that? Okay, it's previous videos of that. One of the other things that is totally not cheating. I want to say this, totally not cheating. Once you get your output, take it into Photoshop. You may want to bump up the color a little bit. You may want to crop it a little differently. Okay? Whatever it is you want to do is totally fine. Okay? In fact, I'm going to go over export, because if we're going to export, we're going to go into Photoshop. We're going to do a file export, and we're going to do an image export. So we're going to go to export image, which is export image file. There it is. Okay. An export image, there's a marquee command which says draw a box around the bit that you want to export. So, I just want to export that. Too far. Darn it. File, export image file, marquee. We're going to try this again and try not to screw it up. That's the image I want exported. And yes, your screen's going to go blank. It's okay. Or your screen may go blank. Okay. You can set your size, 10 by 8 inches, and your quality and your file type. You have JPEG, PNG, bitmap, you can direct right to a Photoshop file, whatever it is you want. And save. It's going to ask you for a name of it. Measure lighting. And then I'm going to pop over to this and my desktop. And oh, it's still rendering. I'm like, where is it? Notice my green bar at the bottom. It's still working. Renderings take time. And depending on how your defaults on your computer are set up, it may open the image automatically for you and it may not. And that has to do with your preferences on your computer. Ooh, this is actually taking almost a minute. Okay, and I can open measure lighting JPEG and we can see, oh yes, look at that. Isn't that a beautiful rendering? I mean, it's not a beautiful rendering because it's missing a person. Staircase is actually in the wrong position. Yeah, well. You know, you can adjust that. One of the things with your rendering, especially if you're taking to Photoshop, you should label either in the file name or just go into Photoshop and type it on what moment of the show it's from. And of course, there are other things you can do. If you are the type of person who says, you know, I like to put a border around this and make it all look pretty, go for it. If you're great with Photoshop, go ahead and do some little enhancements. Okay? That is not cheating. A lot of people go, oh, no, the digital rendering is what it's really going to look like. Well, yes and no. It's the computer's best guess of what it's going to look like. And it has a pretty good sense of light, but it's not perfect. This is actually pretty easy. Any questions? Yes.
How would you make it as if you're having haze in the room?
You want haze. Excellent. So the downside about haze is you have to do haze per light. But if I right-click on the light and I go to Edit Instrument or Edit Light, and it says Cast Shadows, Soft Shadows, and Lit Fog. Lit Fog creates haze. So here is one of the dirty little secrets with Vectorworks. And I say it's a dirty little secret because with great powers comes great responsibility. My little Spider-Man quote for the day. You can get haze with certain lights and not with others in Vectorworks. Does that work in real life? The answer is sort of. Because haze depends on where the audience is seeing it and angles, and so yes, the audience will not perceive haze from certain instruments. In Vectorworks, if you draw in haze, you will see haze on everything. So I don't think it's cheating to be selective. Okay, so I've just turned haze on that front light, and let's go to a position where the haze should be kind of dramatic, and jump into perspective. And let's view this. By the way, when you add haze, it's going to take longer to render. Okay. But now can you see up there that we've got haze here? We can see the lit beam. It's a little foggy, but we don't have haze over here. Let's see if I move the angle a little bit. It becomes a little more obvious. And it's now estimating it's going to take 2.5 minutes to render. Okay, now you can really see the haze. I do not feel it is cheating to only put haze in certain lights. But if you are planning on having haze, you should have haze in a couple of the lights because that's really what it will look like. If that makes sense. Other questions? That was a really good question. Thank you for asking. Anything else? Great. I'm going to end the video.